Right, so I'm back in the workshop to answer your tech questions. And this week, we've got skipping gears, tight brakes, and outspoken pros. Okay, so our first question this week comes from William McCauley, who asks, he's a new rider, importantly, are Clincher wheels and Tubular the same thing? Great question, William. A Clincher wheel uses two separate components, so it uses a tyre as well as a separate inner tube. So the tyre has two beads, so one on either side, usually made of either stainless steel or Kevlar. And once the inner tube is inside of the tyre, the actual beads, they pop into position once the inner tube is being inflated, and they're held in place by kind of tiny hooks on the inner sidewall of the rim. So that's actually keeping it in place. Whereas a tubular wheel uses tubular tyres. So as you can see, it's quite different from the Clincher wheel in that the inner tube is actually sewn within the carcass of the tyre. So there's no bead of the tubular tyre. Instead, like I say, it's sewn together, and then you apply a base tape to the carcass, and then that is mounted onto a tubular rim. And that can either be with glue or extremely strong double-sided tape. And that's not the sort of thing that you'd find in a stationery store. It's actually a special bike-specific product. And then that's mounted onto the rim, and the pressure of the tyre actually helps keep it in place on the rim. We actually only really see tubular tyres being used in races. Reason being, Clincher tyres have really improved and come on leaps and bounds. And in some cases, Clincher tyres are even said to be faster than a tubular, whereas in years gone by, a tubular was definitely the choice of a racing cyclist. We've got a video up here as well, which explains more about tubular, Clincher, and also tubeless tyres.
So what are the parameters then that affect tyre choice? Well, let's deal with weight first. So in this instance, our tubular wheel is 1,365 grams compared to our Clincher, which is 1,515 grams.
So have a little click on that and see what you think. Okay, so next up, I've got a question from Marie Haindal, who has an indexing issue on the home trainer. So Marie's problem is two cassettes with exactly the same teeth. One is on the bike and the other on the home trainer. When they put the bike on the home trainer, the derailleur isn't in the correct position to shift correctly between the different gears, despite the derailleur being in a good condition. Well, to me, this sounds like there could be a discrepancy in the overlock nut distance on the rear hub and also on the turbo trainer. So what I suggest is you measure the two and have a good check of that to see if there is any differences. Now, there's no definite solution here, but what you could try is to add a thin washer on one of the axles. Ideally, it's the one on the home trainer. That way, you're not going to have a wheel out of alignment at all. So that thin washer may well take up the difference if there is any difference to be measured. Alternatively, just check your skewers, and that when you're doing up the skewer, it's not moving the rear derailleur over too much, which is knocking those gears out of alignment. And also, finally, just have a little check to make sure that your rear derailleur hanger screws are tight, because sometimes, again, that can just play a little bit over and not give you that ideal shifting. Right, next question is from Speedbird253. Any way to reduce brake cable friction on an aero bike when the cable routing turns around tight corners? Well, this is a bit of a nightmare. And actually, some TT bikes in the past have not been able to turn the bars fully, which is possibly a design fault, but also it's important to remember when you're riding, you don't actually turn the bars that much because you're generally leaning. But that's not the solution, is it? Because if you've got to transport that bike or travel with it, well, you're going to want to turn those bars. So what I would actually suggest is some of these iLink styled cables. So, I mean, you can see here how flexible they are, and they can get around those tight bends and curves ideally. This is something I use on a couple of my own personal bikes where I've had some cable routing issues where I've not been getting that perfect shift. So the way they work is that you've got a thin liner which your inner cable is going to go through, and then you thread that through the links, and basically it allows you to work much better with those tight curves. And as you can see, the cables, they actually pop in and out, so they are custom to your bike in effect. You customize them. So these are available from brands like Knock-On, Alligator and Jaguar. So they're link style cables basically. Final question this week. It's not actually something about a bike tech problem, but it does relate to equipment. So here we go. It's from Brian Ranney. Have any pros been outspoken about poor equipment or kit from current or previous teams? Well, Brian, some pros in the past have outspoken, but generally they keep it under wraps because obviously the equipment suppliers help pay their wages, as well as it not being necessarily that much of a professional thing. There have been people though in the past. David Miller was one. I think it was in his book where he mentioned about his time at Cofidis and he wasn't happy with the equipment supplied to the team. Also, more recently, Team GB and their first iteration of their track bikes leading up to the Rio Olympics, that was quite widely spoken about in the press as there was some issues with that. So ultimately, a pro, they're supplied with top of the range equipment and they're happy with that. In some instances, you may well see some logos removed or taped over, and it's quite apparent when that's done because basically a brand, they normally supply something with their logo pretty bold and obvious. Reason being, they want maximum exposure. But why would someone not use something from a sponsor? Well, maybe they don't actually offer something in their range suitable for the rider's needs. So have a little look out and you'll probably see some in the pro peloton. Right, I hope you found those answers helpful. And remember as well to leave your tech questions for me in the comments down below and I'll try and answer as many of them as possible. Also, remember to like and share this video with your friends. And for another video, how about find out what the pros think about disc brakes? Click just down here.